Okay, gentlemen, we are live.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Police Off the Cuff After Hours. Cheers to all the fans that jumped on board, man, and subscribing like crazy. We really appreciate that. My name is Mark DeMeo. I'm one of your hosts. My co-host and my partner in all things law enforcement since we're retired, Bill Cannon. What's up?
Doing good, man. I'm real happy to see Bean. I know him as Bean. His real name is Ervin Urbina, but he's called Bean. I've known him for probably over 30 years, and he's a workhorse from.
I would say that. I would say that.
Yeah, the 3-2 squad. He's been a workhorse and great guy. And Bean, welcome to the show, man.
What's up? Nice to have you.
Thank you very much for having me.
Thank
you very much.
For our fans, just so they know, you're a retired first grade detective, which is the highest grade that you can be, the highest level of detective here in New York City. And then you were also the Manhattan North Trustee, which is a union, the Detectives Endowment Association.
That's correct.
And after you retired, now you just became the Retired Detectives New York City Board of Directors. You became a member of that, right? Can you hear? Did I lose you?
Bean,
that's correct. I just became that this year.
Oh, okay. All right. There was a little delay there.
No, I'm still here.
I was looking at your, your social media, and I got to tell you, man, it looks like you were somebody that really, really enjoyed the job.
Bean,
I sure did.
It seems like you're on tape delay here. Are you hearing things 10 seconds after we say it, or what?
Yeah, I think so.
I think he's on delay. Are you watching Zoom or YouTube?
I'm on Zoom.
Okay, yeah, you should be right in time with us then. Anyway, I knew Bean for years because the homicide squad, we practically lived in the 3-2 squad, and I used to marvel at the 3-2 squad. They were such a great squad, but I used to also marvel at what they would eat. They were always eating White Castle burgers, and I would be like, "Oh my God, how are you guys eating that stuff?" And they would actually travel to the Bronx to get it too, and I was just like, "Oh my God."
Good old days. The good old days.
We had Jimbo's right around the corner from the 2-6.
Jimbo's. That's the first Jimbo's.
Yeah, I tell you, that burger was the best. But it came up. You burped that burger up for the next 24 hours. You better enjoy it. Find a place where you can sit down and really enjoy it because they're great. But oof, man.
Hey, Bean, you know who we have listening? We have the Peter Pranzo.
Oh, okay.
Remember Lieutenant Pranzo, Scott Wagner from the 2-3, Bill Ryan from Austin Explosion. All these people are live chatting.
Very nice.
So they all came to see you, Bean. It's like a reunion on YouTube.
Where are you? Where are you? Where do you live? What borough?
I live in Pelham Bay section of the Bronx.
Okay.
Which is right there by the range.
Yeah, we're close to each other.
Oh yeah, where are you?
I'm in Country Club.
Oh yeah, we're stone's throw away.
Yeah.
You guys can be hanging out now. Now that you met each other, you can
we're
be
really close.
Going for a beer together,
We could have just did this together tonight.
We could have went over to Mark's house. And
this way there would have been no delay. He would have just...
So, Bean, let me ask you a question. How come you always get involved in union business and then getting involved in organizations like you became a Manhattan North trustee for the DEA, and then you were always involved with the Manhattan North Detective Club, which I love that you got involved in because I think you did a great job. But what do you think drove you to doing things like that?
Well, I believe I'm one of those guys that believe in the brotherhood. We were, we're family, and I like to see people enjoy themselves, but together, and it really that's basically what I really, the brotherhood,
Bean, can you see the screen? Can you see the screen?
Yep.
You see who's
Yeah, I
holding up
see
that
ya.
plaque?
Yeah,
Detective Pat. I'm
yeah,
surprised he's still standing
big
there, you
Pat,
know?
big Pat. Yeah,
Detective
yeah.
Pat.
So, but I enjoy the guys. Manhattan North was my only command, except for when I was in NSU, and great guys. And I believe in that brotherhood. That we were all dumb enough to become detectives and cops, and we spent our lives together.
Absolutely.
We have a homicide or a shooting. Some would come to us. Sometimes we would go to them. We help each other out, take care of business, and then have a good laugh.
Well, people don't understand
And
being that we live together. You're doing those 4 on and 2 off, and you're working 2
correct.
4-to-1s, 2-day tours, and then sometimes you never go home, right?
That's correct. I mean, I've spent many a days, and I've only, I've lived in. I mean, I live now in Pelham Bay, but I lived in Morris Park, and so I've always lived in the Bronx, which is a close, drive to work to the 3-2. But I would spend days at my home, which would be the 3-2.
Well,
And the thing is, everybody would do the same.
When I looked at your bio, I saw NSU 3, and I was like, oh my God, how did he go from Midtown North, Midtown South, the land of fruit and honey, up to the heart of Harlem to the 3-2? You must have been like, oh no.
Well, it's funny because I had some captain there that wanted me to stay after NSU, so he put in his bid to keep me there. And one day I locked up a Citibank executive for trying to run me over, and he was drunk. So he told me that I will never work in Midtown again. And, of course, back then you had to take him to 2-8 to get the breathalyzer. And he was double the limit. And you know what? He was right. I never worked in Midtown again.
He's sentenced to
I
Manhattan
got,
North, specifically to the
yeah.
3-2. And tell
So,
tell our fans what they used to call the 3-2 back then.
oh, as far as I know, they still call it, but it's the Tomb of Gloom.
That's right.
The Tomb of Gloom.
What does that say,
And
fans out across America?
oh man, it was crazy, and so I got sentenced to the 3-2, but it turns out it was a blessing in disguise. I worked, I learned a lot of things, continued to learn a lot of things, and the guys that were there, a lot of them became big shots.
Yeah.
They went up the ladder, on the job. And but we all have that one thing in common, that we all Manhattan North guys, and especially the 3-2.
Absolutely. We just like to reach out. Duty
So I mean,
Duty
we have,
Ron. Duty Ron, thank you so much for that super chat. People actually throw us money when we do this. We're like pole dancers doing this podcast. Sorry to interrupt you, Bean, but thank you, Duty Ron. Bean, I always noticed that when I used to go up to the 3-2, I thought that the squad and the precinct cops were probably the best in the city. They were fantastic. Nothing like a 3-2 cop or a 3-2 detective.
yeah. So I mean, we had a bunch of talented guys, and unfortunately, the job doesn't recognize the way they should. But it's politics or whatever the case may be. But as far as I'm concerned, if you were a Manhattan North guy, you knew your stuff, and you weren't afraid to get dirty. We knew what we had to do, even when we went to cupcake houses like the 19th.
They probably don't like
everybody
that.
knew what.
Well, when you walked into the 19th precinct, you saw the shrimp sauce on their shirt. They were spilled over from dipping the shrimp in the sauce while they were working the TS, right?
Exactly. But you know what? We're still Manhattan North guys, and it's what are you gonna do?
Being you mentioned the brotherhood, and I remember working sometimes on Christmas or Thanksgiving, and just feeling like just feeling horrible that you have to work that day, and then you get to work, and then all of a sudden, there's people in the same boat with you. They had to come into work too, and then you make the best out of it. And
Right.
there's not a night I wouldn't trade of it.
I would not trade anything in the world for the experience I had, all that time up in the north, and you're right though, you and your partner were there, and you did what you had to do, and you got home safe, and that was the end of it,
Bean,
But-
you were a sector team in the 3-2 also, and tell them back in the 90s how many jobs you would answer a night, say on a 4 to 12. Tell them how many. Tell our audience across the country in Moose Droppings,
we were
Arkansas.
doing, we would, my sector alone, and I had a quiet sector, and well, it wasn't that quiet, but it was quiet enough. I'm doing 50 runs a night.
Wow.
I remember when I first got there, because remember the 9 squad chart when we were on patrol, on a late tour, they were holding 12 jobs, and I would be doing 30, 35 jobs on a midnight,
Wow.
Sector.
I mean, we were, yeah, and that was a sector, and that was only my sector, I mean, we were busy, which is one of the reasons why I never wanted to leave the 3-2, because, time went quick, and we had a lot of fun.
Meal is
We made the best of it, and we did our jobs, and we got to see a lot of different things.
Meal is a privilege, right? Remember they used to say that meal is a privilege.
Yeah, they used to say that.
Like
you don't automatically get a meal, right?
You never got your hour meal at I'm sure when you.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
And they weren't even able to get
right.
anything to eat in the 3-2. They had to travel outside the precinct to get something to eat, right? Bean, did you hear that? I said you guys had to travel outside the 3-2 precinct to get food. You just.
Yeah, no, we had that, that authorized meal locations. We had like 7 or 8 outside the command, and we had like 3 of them outside the borough. We had to actually go to the Bronx and get food.
That's how bad the 3-2 was. What were the choices?
That's how bad the 3-2 was.
Well, what's funny is that given the choice, you still went all the way to the Bronx to get freaking White Castle. I don't understand.
They just got used
That's
to
exactly
such good
right.
food.
I'm saying, like, if you could have stayed in the 3-2 and got White Castle.
Yeah, but we would, we were allowed to go over that bridge, so we took advantage of it. And even in the place we used to go to 149th Street, and that's a bad area in itself, but we got our White Castles, and we used to have a good time.
And being as busy as the 3-2 precinct was, there was also some heavy duty politics in that precinct, right? You had the Abyssinian Baptist Church, right?
Oh,
Calvin Butts, who was very much
Sure.
involved in the politics
Calvin
of the
Butts.
area. And you guys had to know what you were
pistol packing
walking.
priest.
Yeah, well, you had to know what you were walking into, right?
Yeah, and then you had the old timers. You had Patterson that lived in Lennox Terrace, and obviously he was the former governor, and we had a lot of politics. Danny Farrow.
That's right.
You're talking about the big shots there. They were heavy hitters, but we dealt a lot with the Abyssinian and Resurrection, which was the pistol packing priest that we had.
Yep.
The only priest that was allowed to carry a gun.
Calvin Butts, right? You had some of the best commanding officers, because I think back then the 3-2 was recognized as a promotion house for a captain. Now every single captain gets promoted no matter where he goes. But back then it was like you didn't automatically make DI out of a precinct unless you went to a rockin' place. but the 3-2 was recognized
correct.
as, if you got the 3-2, you were going to make DI, and they had guys like Timony, right? He was a CO with a 3-2.
Right.
Anamone,
Yep.
right?
We had
Salvaggi,
Anamone.
probably
Yep.
before you,
We had,
Salvaggi.
Yep. Yeah, because he went to the 2-8, I think,
Mhm.
also when he got promoted. Then he went to the 2-8. We had Matarazzo, Al
And all of these
Matarazzo.
guys eventually made chief, right?
We had, yeah, that's correct. Yeah, that's it. It was, like I said, they were, I mean, look at Anamone. Louis Anamone made chief of department.
Absolutely.
Can't really get no much higher than that.
We have actually 46 people following us in live chat, which is great, and from all over the country. Thank you, Duty Ron. I know a lot of your fans have been joining us and subscribing to our channel on YouTube. Thank you so much. Thank you, B. Higgs, Duty Ron, of course, Dawn Marie, Cat in a Hat. I love that name, Cat in a Hat. Jody Easterling. All the people from the West Coast love to hear our New York accents, They want to they just want to listen to us because they love the way we talk, So
Hey, Scott Wagner says, don't forget to tell him how much they love the good old housing homicide. The world showed up.
Yeah.
well, the 3-2 is
That's,
filled with housing projects, right?
Yeah, we have what? I think five housing projects that are over 21 stories
Wow.
each building. And you're talking about 10 buildings each project. We had the famous Polo Grounds,
That's right.
which was Vietnam right there. But
Hey, Bean, were there any
yeah, that was a
buildings?
crazy.
Were there any buildings when you were a young cop that they said don't go into that building alone?
Up there was 100 of them.
Oh, so they were all that way.
They were all that way.
Yeah.
They were all that way, and I'll tell you, I did a lot of work in Midtown when I was NSU. I was active, and then when I came up to the 3-2, I was, oh my God, I was like dumbfounded.
Right.
I mean, you would have to break leather every job that you went to.
Right.
But it was good. It was, you were there because you wanted to be there.
There's a good crew. There's a good crew of 3-2 guys. Look at Big Thad, right?
Yeah.
All 3-2 squad guys. Don't you love that?
Yeah, you got Mikey Lopez who's serving our country.
That's right.
Yeah. Newville.
And Newville Roberts, good basketball player, right? What was Thad drinking there? Some Arizona iced tea? What is that?
Yeah. And baseball too.
And there's there you are at the Manhattan North Detective Club.
Yeah, look.
Bringing back memories. I don't want you to start crying during this show, but I'm just gonna. This is your life, Here you are at a cigar festival here, right? These guys all look.
That's exactly right.
I worked with Reyes.
Yeah.
I was in the 2-4.
Who's that? Who's that, Bean?
That's Christine Reyes from. Well, she worked in Bronx. She just retired. She worked in Bronx homicide.
Oh, no kidding. Was she a detective or a sergeant?
She was a detective, and
okay.
She actually went from Bronx Special Victims and went to the homicide squad, and she just recently retired.
Good for her, man. And there you are. Yeah. There's your flyer for doing 32 years of service to the NYPD.
Yeah.
I don't want you crying, Bean.
Yeah,
it was
a sad day for me. It was a.
You didn't
it was a sad day for me.
Right?
I didn't really want to go, but yeah, I thought so. I thought they're going to have to call ESU to taser me.
Look at that.
Who is that?
Who is that artist that made this unbelievable flyer?
It was time to go, I guess.
That's great, man. That's great.
Hey, what age did you come on the job?
Listen, it's the guy who I'm speaking with. Actually, I was going to say the guys with glasses, but all three of us are wearing glasses.
That's right.
Hey, It's funny. Did you always want to be a cop ever since you were a kid?
No. I worked for Con Edison, and I was I worked in a power station. I was an engineer, and I went on strike back in '83, and I said, "Listen, man, I can't do this strike stuff." And I had a friend of mine who, we grew up together. He worked in a 3-0 precinct, and he wanted to be a cop. So he said, "Listen, I'm not going to take the test unless you take it." So I said, "Okay, I'll take the test with you," and thinking that I'm not going to pass it. And sure enough, I passed it. And then I says, now it's time for your agility test. Yeah, I'm not going to pass that either. Sure enough, I passed it. And I'm like, uh-oh, something's happening, And sure enough, Con Ed found out because I was doing my background investigation. And I wanted to be a foreman for them. Worked in a power station. And they started teaching me, showing me what we needed to do. I was in training. So I turned the job down, the police department, and I should have been in the January class of '85. But, I turned the job down because I was happy with Con Ed. I made a lot more money in Con Ed. But then when they found out I turned the job down, they took the position away from the foreman's position, and they put me back there. So I called my investigator up. He says, "Listen, you're good." He says, "You're ready to go." So sure enough, July came. Hold my hand up, I do, and that's how I became a cop.
No, Bean, I do is what you say when you get married. The police department, you just swear your whole damn life away,
Yep, and I got the child support to prove it.
That's right. That's right.
But I got sworn in, and you know what? Never regretted it. I was already married, and I asked my wife, and we talked about it, and she said, "Okay, do what you got to do." And so I did, became a cop, and
then she said, "I want I want a third of your pension."
But
yeah. Do you remember when they used to tell, I don't know if they told you guys, but they said, "Don't quit your job until you're sworn in." So
that's correct.
I remember calling up my job from where I was. I said, "Listen," they kind of they knew anyway, but I had to call them up from there and then officially quit from there.
Yep. That matter of fact, when I got sworn in that night, I went to Con Ed. I said, "Listen, I'm sorry, but here's my resignation letter, and I'm sorry I didn't give you 2 weeks." I said, "But I just got sworn into the police department," and believe it or not, they were big on. They congratulated me. They thought it was the best thing in the world that I did.
I wonder if Ervin Urbina of 2021 working for Con Ed, if they would say the same thing if you left them for the police department, or they would say, defund the police, stay with us.
You know what's really funny is that I worked in a power station next to the Brooklyn Navy Yard. Con Ed sold just about all their power stations to other companies. So it's weird because I don't know where I would be. Where would I be?
Right.
I don't know.
You'd be without a
would
job.
I have a job? I'm sure. Yeah. So,
nice.
The decision I made, I did the right thing, and I was only going to stay 20 years and then go back to Con Ed.
Yeah, but you buffed out, man.
I stayed a little longer.
You found the home in the 3-2. You found that White Castle right across the bridge into the Bronx.
I sure did.
This is your life.
I sure did. And but listen, I remember a bunch of times you were there. You were there to enjoy the White Castles too.
I lived in the when I was in homicide. I lived in the 3-2 precinct. It was like my second home. People say, "Hey, Sarge, what are you?" No one even asked what I was doing there. They were like, "Hey."
Exactly. We knew that. We knew you were coming. You were coming with a couple of your boys.
That's right.
We make sure we have enough room on the table. know?
And then they used to call everyone a bucket, right?
Uh, yeah, that's for sure. I remember that. We had good times. We
That's right.
really, but you know what? The thing is, when it was time to get dirty, it's time to go out there and look at the crime scene and knock on doors and this and that. You know what? We pulled our pants up. Boom. We all went out.
The 3-2 squad was the best, man. I love those
Yeah.
guys, man. They
But
were
you know what?
always there.
It's also the bosses. I don't want to blow your head up, but you were a good boss. You let us do what we had to do. Then we would team up and then figure out exactly what needed to be done afterwards. And you gave us unfortunately, these bosses these days, they want to be detectives,
Right.
but they don't understand what it is to be a detective.
A
Work
lot
a
of them
crime
don't.
scene.
Yeah.
Murder, shootings, whatever. Yeah, which is a shame. But we had people like you that did the right thing. Let us be detectives. You were the supervisor.
Yeah. I always
You
believed
authorized
that
the overtime.
that's right. Well, I always believed that you had to always listen to the detectives, and what they told you was really the direction you should go, because who else are you going to believe but the guys that are talking to the people out in the street, the guys doing the interviews, the guys doing the interrogations, the guys collecting the evidence? You have to
Right.
listen to them, and
Yeah,
that
but
was
you
my
had at least you had an open mind, and if you had something to put in, maybe an idea, you know what, we listened to you too, because you're one of us.
yeah.
You just happened to become a sergeant, and instead, but we don't hold that against you. But we did what we had to do, and we got the job done. That's the
That's for
bottom line
sure.
is, we you know,
Talk
but
about why
we
you
did what we did, and then
talk about why you went and became a delegate, a union delegate. Why did you do that?
well, you remember Donnie Whalen, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, he was getting 3/4, and he was the delegate, and he says, "Listen, you got a level head. You're not a radical. You're not one of these, these
Rabble
rah rah
rousers.
rah. Let's kill
Yeah.
it." Exactly.
Did you learn all the
Um,
like the DEA and the PBA hand signals, like "Don't make waves"? I love that one. You ever see that? Don't make waves. They all learn.
that was
No, don't make waves.
yeah. I had to learn all that, but.
At
So, I became the delegate, I said, and no one really wanted it because, it could be a tough job,
yeah, it's a very tough job.
and I did, and I became that, and I enjoyed it. And then, Rob Mooney, who I think is the greatest guy in the world, besides the greatest detective in the world. Okay. Him and a couple other people, JD from the 2-3, they were all delegates.
Right.
And the position opened up for welfare officer, which is one step below a trustee. So they grabbed me and they said, "Listen, we want you to run for that position." Really had no desire to do it, but I said, "All right, thank you for thinking that I'm capable of doing it." But I told them I'll run. So, but it turns out that no one wanted that spot either.
Man, you were getting everything by default.
Yes, that's exactly right. It was funny because the day, I'm at the delegates meeting, and Mike Palladino, who's our president, who's another great guy, a good friend, he gets all the delegates up from Manhattan North, and he says, "All right, everybody who wants the position or put in the position for welfare, please step forward." So all the delegates step back, and there I am by myself. So he turns around and he says, "All right, no one else is signing up." He says, "Now you're the welfare officer," and that's how
Wow.
I got into the union business.
I was also I was an SBA delegate, but I had to win an election against someone because the person that had it, wanted to keep it, and I was like, no, you're gone. So
Right.
I ran against him and I won. But I actually confronted a few guys that didn't vote for me. I was like, you
Uh-huh.
little fucking worm, you didn't vote for me. Hey, yeah, well, then the guy was like, oh, have you ever see someone do
How
a
did
tap
you know?
dance? What's
Isn't
that?
it supposed to be confidential?
I just knew. I could just tell
It's supposed to be.
yeah, I knew by his body language he didn't vote for me. I was like Patty Porteous one time grabbed another detective from the 2-3 squad that lied. He was home, and Porteous called him up and said, "Don't come in today. Overtime's canceled." So the detective came in anyway and says, "He never called me." And Porteous put him in the box and interrogated him, and he admitted it. He got a confession from the detective. Because the boss was ripping into him. I told you the guy goes, I did. He says you didn't. Then he grabbed him and put him in the interrogation room. That's good interrogation skills when you can get another detective to confess, right?
Yeah, yes, without a doubt. But Pat was a little bruiser too, so
Yeah.
I'm sure he got convinced to.
Detective Pat. He's watching now because he loved it when I pulled up that picture of him showing his plaque.
Oh yeah.
That must
Pat's
have
a
been the
grill.
beginning of the meeting because he wasn't hammered yet. At the
Yeah,
end of the
that
meeting,
it
he would
was.
have
That it was.
had bloodshot eyes. It would have been like. So, being as a delegate, without mentioning any names, tell us some of the most challenging jobs you had to go on as a delegate.
Well, as a welfare officer, obviously I have to be concerned about the welfare of a person's family or the detective. And, I remember one incident where a detective lost his son. His son was about 16 years old. And him and his son were tight. And his son, passed away. And, he lived all the way as far as you can live legally working for the police department. And I would be there every day. I rented a hotel room.
Wow.
And it's sad because you don't want to bury your own child.
No, absolutely not.
And there was a lot of instances like that where guy he's getting divorced. His wife's taking him to the cleaners. Now he's talking about eating his gun. Which
Right.
is definitely not the answer. And you stay with him, and then all of a sudden he gets locked up for DWI. So now you want to hold his hand and make sure he's okay and assure him that everything will pass. And he didn't do nothing stupid, which is a good thing. And you know what? Everything passed, and he was able to fill out. He was able to finish his career. But it was nice to be able to help someone, even if you couldn't physically help them, but you were there just in case, just
Emotionally, and that takes a toll on you too, right? I mean, it really does.
Yeah,
You're
exactly.
you're holding a guy's hand, and that's a tough thing to do, but it's so important.
It is, and like people, I mean, I'm divorced twice, so I know what it is to pay child support.
I can't understand how that
I
could
know what
happen,
it
Bean.
is
You're so
not to see your
lovable.
kids.
Bean, I said, I don't know how that could happen. You're so lovable,
Yeah, I don't know either, but it happens, and so I would feel their pain. I would know exactly what they're going through, and we would feed off each other, and
right.
and of course, my checks were little, and I had like 1,001 side jobs, but you know what, I made it.
Yeah.
I
Bean, that's a
made
tough
it.
thing too with someone on a police officer, a detective, sergeant, whatever, a member of the service going through a divorce. You don't know what their mental state is because that's a real tough thing to go through. And
Yeah.
as a police officer, detective, we live with a gun 24/7, 365. And if you have any inclination whatsoever to take your own life, you have the means with you at all times. And
Yes.
that's a tough thing to read for everyone involved, and
Right.
especially someone like yourself that's a delegate. It's so important for you to be there for you guys.
Yeah. And, like I remember I went to narcotics, Manhattan North Narcotics, and I just became welfare officer. And so, I introduced myself. I knew a bunch of them already because, we had cases together and stuff like that. But, I'd say, listen, I'm on the phone 24/7, 365 days a year. And then one guy says, all right, let me have your number. So I would give him my number,
Right.
and I said it out loud. He says, no, but I want your personal number. So I gave him the same number. I said, I don't have a union phone. I said, I don't have a, work phone. This is before they started giving out phones.
Right.
I said, this is my personal number. I said, and I keep it on 24 hours a day. And you need me, you call me. I said, don't call me at 3:00 in the morning to find out how come, how do you get a prescription card.
Yeah. Bean, where is that White Castle again?
149. But my phone was always open, and I told that to all the guys, and people would call me, and I would be there. But again, what I was talking about before, it's a brotherhood. We're all
Absolutely.
brothers. We're all doing the same job. We're doing the same job. And you're my family.
Bean,
you're my family, and that's the bottom line.
Bean, I could tell a personal story, and I won't tell all the facts because it's sort of confidential. But you helped me out with my brother who was jammed up, and I was thankful to this day that you did that for me, and I just want you to know I appreciated that.
The guy who can get stuff done.
Yeah.
It's like I said. Now he's going to start to cry.
Yeah, I will probably. I've been known to cry.
Give me a second. Let's see if we can do it. Come on.
No, that's it. I'm done with that story. And then you actually moved up in the union, right?
I became Brian Hunt was my partner.
Okay.
He worked in narcotics, and he became borough director.
Right.
So the position opened up. We're at a meeting with Palladino and the rest of the board, and then we're having the delegates meeting the next day. And Mike comes up to me. He says, I apologize. I said, what's the matter, Mike? He says, I forgot to announce that you're going to be the new trustee. I was like, wow. I'm like, okay, I'm honored. And, I told him that I would do it. And, he gave me the position. I became the trustee, which is a little higher authority. It's my borough now.
And Bean, let me ask you something. Does that position of the trustee come with a heavier pinky ring? Like, do you have that? You have to wear that gold pinky ring.
You mean you mean this one?
Oh, look at that!
Yeah, but I became. Now I had my own borough. Now I was the king of the borough of Manhattan North, and I was very, very proud of it.
The consigliere of the bureau, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Mark, we got to thank Duty Ron. Duty Ron keeps throwing us money left and right. He threw us another super chat, $5, and we're able to get cookies and coffee at the end of the month with this. Thank you, Duty Ron. And
get
thank
to White
you.
Castles.
Yeah, I will be able to go to White Castle. We'll really dine gourmet style.
Yeah, we have to give a shout out to a bunch of these people that are writing stuff. Robert. Robert 1-3. Who picks your partner for you guys? What if you don't gel?
Yeah, that we pick our own partner whenever we want. So that's something that you become friends with one particular guy. You like the way he works, and that's how it's done.
A place like the 3-2, you want to have someone that is going to have your back at all times. right?
That is correct.
Because
But you
your
just don't
partner,
know.
right? Your partner will save your life multiple times over the years, right?
Yes,
You got to like the way
that's
they
for sure.
work. You know, if you go out with somebody, you got to like the way they work,
That's
their
correct.
tactics, the way they talk to people.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you gotta jive. You guys, two people have to jive together. And, that partnership, I took that even more serious, where, all my partners, they knew my kids, they were invited to everything that I was throwing, I knew their kids, I watched them, grow up. I take that serious. That partner stuff is big time serious.
Absolutely.
Uh,
Bean, I just have to interrupt you for a second. Gemma's journey all the way from the United Kingdom, throwing us £5. Oh my God, I don't even know how the bank is going to be able to count that. But thank you so much, Gemma's journey. Another one of Duty Ron's fans, and Duty Ron threw us another $5. We can buy some more White Castle. Mark, we have 82 people in this live chat, so
Oh, yeah.
this is an amazing thing.
Here.
You know,
Heather Lovett would love some old firefighters to join in sometime. Back in the day, they were brothers. Yeah. All right, maybe.
we don't
Yeah.
have firefighters on this show. We like them. We like the fact that they put out fires, but that's about it.
Yeah, exactly. What do? They wait for the fires to start. But what about us? We're there before the fires start.
That's right. That's
Yeah,
right.
Heather, there's a different relationship between. I don't know how it is in other states or other, cities, but here in New York City, it's kind of like competitive. Not so much competitive, but also I guess cops are a little jealous. Like they get paid to sleep.
Yeah. They get much better food,
Yeah,
I was
Here we
gonna
are
say,
eating
there's no
White
White
Castle and
Castles in a
firemen
firehouse.
eat gourmet meals, right?
yeah. Hey, but listen, I'll be the first one to tell you. If I had a foot post on a detail or something, I found where the firehouse was, and then I said, "What time is dinner?" And I came and I threw in my $5. I had all the pasta and chicken I could eat.
That's exactly right.
My father's a retired cop. Well, he passed away, but he was shocked that I had never ever in my 27-year career gone into a firehouse for a
Oh
meal.
my God, I used to
And
go.
I was like, I never ever went into a firehouse. Never.
I remember going with the West Indian Day parade, and it was probably my third year in a row that I really got to know these guys in that firehouse good because I just came every year, and it was right
Yeah.
on. It was right there on Eastern Parkway somewhere, and I'd go there and I'd chill out over there.
Yeah. No, I had a foot post in a 3-2 firehouse, and I had a fireman go up to me. He says, "You got this post today?" I said, "Yep." He says, "All right, give me $5." I gave him $5 because, like I said, hey, I'm okay. You're a fireman. I'm a cop. He says, "Come here at 6." I said, "Okay." Didn't know what it was about, and sure enough, they had a roasted chicken. They had mashed potatoes. They had a full course meal.
You were full. You left there full.
I was like,
Mark,
oh my God, this is
$5.
we got another super chat
Yeah.
from Dawn Marie. People throwing money at us. She says, buy a 6-pack. In New York City, we get a 40, right? We go to the bodega and we get a 40. Thank you, Dawn Marie. We really appreciate it. And thank you, Duty Ron, for bringing all your fans to our podcast here. We really appreciate that. I think they're digging on us. They're digging on our New York City accent. And now we got Bean here from Central Harlem. They got to love that too, right?
Yeah.
So, Bean, what's going on now with the Manhattan North Detective Club? I see you having cigar parties all the time now. What's going on with that?
That seems to be what a lot of people are doing these days. So I get together and I do different locations, and I charge just enough so the next event I don't have to charge more.
Uh-huh.
And for instance, I'll go to one of the spots and, I have hot food, sandwiches, of course, adult beverages.
Uh-huh.
And, I even have water for the wimpy guys. And, and, 2 cigars, and we just hang out and just talk and talk and talk about everything and anything,
That's great.
and, it really is. And again, we're all brothers, we're all talking, and I don't care where you work, you can work in a 3-4, you can work in a 3-0, you can work in Midtown South, whatever. You're a cop, you're my brother.
That's
the
right.
bottom line.
That's kind of sort of what we wanted to make this show be about originally. That we wanted to have a thing where we could feel like we were hanging out, talking, cops, like
Right.
at a bar, drinking, telling war stories. That's basically what brought me and Bill together. We wanted to do that. There's been a lot of different.
Which I think is a great idea.
Yeah. At the heart of it, it's all about the stories, really. It's really just about this kind of stuff, talking about the job and the way it was.
Ian,
Yeah,
how
the
do you
good old
feel
days.
now? How do you feel now about when you see what's going on in the job, and how would you have handled being a delegate with all of this stuff going on?
I would be crying every day. They destroyed this job that I devoted my life to it.
Yeah.
I devoted my life to it, and the hardships with this COVID, this to fund the police department, all this nonsense that these liberals are just going crazy over. I just, for instance, right after I retired, there was a guy that came into the squad from the Bronx, and sure enough, he died. He died of COVID.
Yes, I remember that.
And,
Yeah.
he just got his shield and he was doing good and everything else like that. And, even that they tried to screw him by saying he died of COVID. I said, no, he didn't die of COVID. What did he have? What did he actually die of? Died of a heart attack. All right.
Right.
So let's think about his family. Give him the heart bill.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
It turns out
Absolutely.
that the medical examiner in the Bronx said, yeah, okay, I got you. I got you. So that she changed the death certificate. And now his family, he's got, 10 or 11-year-old kids. So they're kind of young. They got protection, they got money coming in. They got their benefits, but that's part of brotherhood,
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And, some of these, how should I say, these politicians don't know what we do for a living.
No. It's
they-
funny,
they-
Bean, we sometimes
don't.
we have
They
talked
don't know what
about
it is to.
Bean, we have talked about the Diaphragm Law, and there was a cop from the 2-5, two cops, a female officer and a male officer. And there was a videotape of them making a gun collar. They had the guy laying on the ground, and you could see the male officer was afraid to put his knee in the guy's back. So as a result, he got cocky and got up and started to run. And then eventually they got him back down on the ground. Sure enough, he had a gun. But that could have really went bad. Eventually, backup got there. They got him cuffed, and they got him off the street. But the cop could have got killed because
Both, who knows?
Yeah.
Both cops could have gotten
yeah,
killed.
they were both afraid to use the necessary force because of this stupid law that a lot of city council members, who are all probably, most of them are a bunch of cowards, they made this law trying to pacify their constituents, and they put really good cops in
Right.
danger because of it,
Yes.
Um,
And it only takes a second for someone to pull out that gun and start shooting the cops. And God forbid the backup came and they didn't know. And now you're talking about more cops getting hurt. No, that's, listen, we got to do our jobs. I've always had a thing. Once the cuff is on, the cuffs are on the guy. That's it. The fight's over. I don't care if he's
Absolutely.
wiggling or whatever, but the fight's over. But come on, let's get real. These people don't want to be arrested, and they have no problem taking your life.
No, they don't.
No problem taking your life.
And like, what if you get a guy on the street that just got out of the University of Coxsackie, and he's cock diesel, right? And you got to roll around with this guy on the street. He's twice as strong as you because he spent 5 years lifting weights, 7 days a week, body by Coxsackie,
Yeah.
Hey, My Three Rosebuds has a question for Bill. Bill Cannon, do you feel it's a lot more different now than when you worked?
Yeah, I think what's changed the entire game is video cameras and cell phones. People videotape everything. All interactions on the street are videotaped, and that makes a cop's job very, very difficult. In fact, the cop now is wearing body-worn video himself. And in a way, that gets to combat the civilian's camera, because now the cop has a camera on him that is showing what actually happened, not what the civilian is taping that may have been selectively edited. So, yeah, it's much more difficult right now.
It sure is.
Yeah. I have to.
It's a shame.
It's unanimous.
Yeah.
When
they talk, the old time cops used to talk about street justice. If someone mouthed off to you, you could sly rap him to the back of his head. You can't do that anymore.
we had the cell phones. I retired in 2012. We had the cell phones back then, and I remember one time this guy was banging his head off the wall in the cell. People would never understand this, but you just like look in the cell because you hear a noise, a thump, and there's this guy going like this, like bang, 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 just banging his head off the wall. So I just took out my cell phone and I started taping him, and then he stopped.
Yeah.
No need to say anything else
because no one would believe
right here.
that.
You want to make a complaint? I got it right here.
One of our live chatters said body-worn cameras. Yeah, but New York City police officers have a camera that they wear on their chest on the left side of their body, and when they interact with people, I don't know exactly what the parameters are for turning it on, but when they interact, say a gun run, a dangerous job, they're required to turn it on, and it records audio and video.
That's correct.
Do you know what the parameters are being for turning the camera on?
As far as I know, as far as what because they were just starting to implement that before I left, and in the car you don't have to have it on in the RMP. The minute you step out of the RMP, you got to put it on, and then it's got to stay on unless there's something. Something that, like for instance, a rape victim.
Right.
Then you might shut that camera off. You don't want to embarrass her or him any more than he is or she is already embarrassed.
Right.
But that thing has to stay on. And they say sometimes it helps, sometimes it could hurt. But I don't really think. I've seen some video cameras, some footage. And they help the cops.
Yeah.
I think it's, if I had to give it a number, I would say it's at least 75-25, maybe more, that it's helped.
Yeah.
I really do.
Okay. Yeah.
I would give it.
Yeah,
I think it helps more time. It puts the pieces of the story together, where you used to just get one side of it, and then they edit the tape. And you were lost. You had nothing. You were just at basically what Mr. Editor did with their cell phone tape.
Yeah. No, I happen to agree with you on that part.
Bean, what I wanted to ask you? Right around the time I left in 2011. They went to videotaping interrogations, and the other thing was they made it a rule that when the detective went into the room to interrogate a suspect, right off the bat, he had to read Miranda.
That's correct.
And how is that worked out?
It's
it's a rough one, right?
Yeah.
Bean, let me just interrupt you for 1 second, because back in the day, and I'll use that term, back in the day, detectives would schmooze the guy.
Correct.
That Yiddish word schmooze. They would schmooze him and get him in a good mood and then start talking to him.
Exactly.
Yeah, basically, a lot of times I'd go through the story with them 2 or 3 times and say, okay, listen, why don't we just get this down on paper? Just let's record it so it's official, so everybody knows what you're telling me, and this way you have something to back you up when you need it. Like I used to say stuff like that, and then I used to read the Miranda, and then he'd tell me the same story again.
Sometimes the hardest part of the interview was getting the perp to waive Miranda, right?
That's correct. But again, you see, like you said, sometimes you have to schmooze the person, bring it down, bring the level down where, listen, maybe you had a reason to do it. Maybe there was a reason why you did what you're being accused of doing. For instance, a homicide. Did the guy try to shoot you before? Are you scared?
Right.
And unfortunately, people think that cops are like gods. Okay, we're not. We're normal people. We cry, we laugh, we bleed, just like everybody else. So you should try to bring yourself down to, not to their level, but take away that stigma and make them believe that you're just an honest person who's looking to find out what's going on.
Absolutely. And something, one of the things that I, during my 9.5 years at Manhattan North Homicide and my years in the 2-3 squad and the 2-4 squad, I always counted on the detectives because they were so good to get confessions, to get admissions and confessions. They were so good in the box. And maybe I counted on them too much, like when you didn't have it, you said, bring them in, let's talk to them, like, oh, you're going to get him to confess, because they were so good at it that they
right. I mean, yeah, no, I mean, you've been involved in hundreds of them, and sometimes it's I've been in the box for 12 hours, 13 hours, 14 hours, but then the guy starts talking, and we're wow, we solved it.
Right,
we got
right,
it.
right.
Yeah, I mean, at some point you develop a relationship with these people. If you're good at it, it's a legitimate relationship, and unburdened too. A lot of times they want to unburden. They just need somebody to tell them, it's going to be okay. They got to trust you.
Yeah. That's exactly right. And
I don't know how much confessions mean anything nowadays anymore anyway, though, to tell you the truth. I mean, people like, if they want DNA,
No, juries still want confessions, but they want even more. They want the forensic evidence too,
Right.
They,
and sometimes there is none.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
It's tough nowadays. If that's all
they call that the CSI effect, because people watch so much TV and they think that if there's no physical evidence, no fibers, no DNA, no blood, no this, no that, this guy couldn't have done it.
Listen, let me tell you something. My girlfriend is solving 3 crimes at the same time. She's got Dateline on the TV, on her iPad. She's on YouTube. And she's got a true crime story she's solving on her phone.
Well, it's funny. Civilians think they actually can solve these crimes,
Yeah.
Oh, no, this is what you have to do next,
She said, I don't want to see any dead bodies, though.
Yeah.
So first it was, I don't really want to do it with a police work in uniform. I don't like that. I just want to be a detective. And now it's, forget it. I don't want to see the dead bodies. You know why? Because we were watching. Have you guys seen this? It's really gory. It's on Netflix. The Night Stalker murders.
I've heard of it. I haven't seen it.
There's a whole series on Netflix right now.
Suzanne King just hit us up with $5 in the super chat. Suzanne, thank you so much. She also was brought here by Duty Ron. Duty Ron's like, he's supplying us with all his fans. Thank you so much, Duty Ron. Thank you, Suzanne King, for that $5 super chat.
We had you were great, Bean, man. What can I tell you?
Yeah.
I mean, when you think about like somebody who, you're a saint, brother. Listen, Con Ed missed out.
Yeah.
They really did. They would have had a
I mean,
superstar. They would have had a
yeah.
superstar. The job was lucky to have you.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much. But I listen, the job treated me okay. I gave it my all. Uh, I did, I luckily, I was, I had a little bit of luck. I had good bosses, you know, I
You know,
did my work.
nobody, I mean, how many times did they come up to you every single time and say, hey, we want you to do this? Those positions that they wanted you to do, that your fellow brothers, asked you to do, those are usually positions that people fight over, cat and dog, you know, and
Yeah.
just like the politics that you see anywhere else, sometimes it can get ugly. You know what I'm saying? And people are stepping out of the way for you
Yeah,
to do it.
that's exactly right.
Amazing.
And,
It's amazing.
and a lot of things I ran into a couple of times where detectives would say, well, how do you know what I'm going through? And I would tell them, listen, I'm still catching cases. Oh, you're not released?
Hmm.
I said, nope. I said, I catch cases. I still make my collars and, the whole deal. And they're like, oh my God. So I'm like, listen, but I'm just like you. I know your pain. I've always said that. I want to know my detective's pain and what they go through, especially like when the DD5, the 5 system came in, when we used to do it on typewriter and it was the greatest thing in the world. Now we have to do it on
Yeah,
computer.
because you could have 80 open cases and no one could do anything about it.
Exactly. That's exactly right. But guess what, though? When the paper needed to be done, it was done. It was
That's for
done.
sure. Yeah.
If there's a collar needed, we made the collar. That's it.
Steve Dragna, my former lieutenant in the 2-3 squad, just hit us up with a $10 super chat. Steve, thank you so much. Good guy. He's living down south now, I believe, in Virginia. Steve, thanks for watching, and thank you for hitting us up with the $10 super chat.
Steve was my sergeant in NSU.
No kidding. Yeah, because he was
Steve
originally he was a South guy originally.
Yeah.
Then he came up to the North. He had, he got a nosebleed with the high altitude up there, When
Yeah,
people came from the South to the North, it was like, oh my God.
Yeah. It's funny you say that because the first day I'm at the 3-2, we had the CO was Jack Walsh, who now is a federal judge.
Wow.
And he said, I remember you from NSU 3. I said, yes. He says, well, wear your vest and make sure you carry a second gun. And I'm like, what the hell did I just get into?
Was it the guy Jack Walsh that was like, they called him Jack the Rack? He had a rack up about that high. Was that him?
Yeah.
He was from he worked in the 7.5 or the 7.3 or something like that, right?
Yes.
And he made captain on the job, right? Yeah,
He made inspector. He did the prosecution for the 7-7 thing.
Wow.
Yeah, and then they gave him a judgeship.
Holy shit. I have to thank 2 more people. Heather, who was also brought over by Duty Ron. Thank you for the $5 super chat. And also Joey Brooklyn. What up, Joey? Thanks for the 5. Thanks for the 5, brother. We can appreciate. Thank you, Joey Brooklyn. Also one of Duty Ron's fans.
So, Bean, what are you up to nowadays? Where can people find you?
Yeah, I'm here. I do a little side job for a Jewish temple on 79th and 2nd. I make sure they have a school there, pre-K and nursery and kindergarten. I make sure that no one steals the kids. They've had that happen where they tried to take kids. So they have me and another retired cop. We stand outside, make sure the kids get into the school okay. Once they're in the school, that's it.
Did the temple make you the delegate?
Well, so happens.
The rabbi appointed you a delegate, right?
Yes, yeah.
For people outside of New York, on the New York City Police Department, everything's a hook, and people call a hook a rabbi, right?
A rabbi.
Who's your rabbi,
exactly
right?
That was your rabbi. So,
that's the expression, yeah.
I was, before this COVID, I actually sat in its service with the rabbi, making sure nothing happened to him, because he's a conservative guy.
Yeah.
He's not a real big religious type of person. But now with the temple being closed, the school is open, so I do that, and and now all I do is smoke cigars. City Island, I'm there at City Island, puffing away, relax.
That's
Hey,
great.
if this guy ever calls in sick and you need somebody, let me know.
Yeah, no
I
problem.
like to smoke cigars too.
All right, listen, you're always
What
welcome.
kind, what kind of cigars you smoke, Bean?
I do Dominicans and Nicaraguans. I do. My favorite happens to be Padron, which is a company. It's a Nicaraguan, and I do Dominicans too. And I love Dominican cigars. And I actually, I go down to the Dominican Republic twice a year at least.
That's
Wow.
good, man. That's
Yeah,
nice.
but that's not for the cigars.
Listen, sure it is. Hey, listen,
I
I'm
remember.
single.
I remember those trips you guys used to go on.
Yeah,
I was crying. I couldn't go. I'm married. I can't
I'm
go.
still doing them. But and unfortunately, I discovered Thailand.
Wow.
Wow.
Thailand is a beautiful country. It's cheap. It's not a third world country, but again, you just gotta have to. You have to worry about if it's a woman or other.
Yes. Or you check the box other.
Don't you hate when that happens?
It happens.
Fool me once on a trip. That's your bad. Fool me 3 times. That's okay.
Listen, I had a guy that came with us. He retired from the 3-4 precinct. He was a cop. He's talking to this girl, in love. She was beautiful, beautiful voice. She spoke English. Okay, it's time to go to the hotel room. She says, "Listen, I would love to go. You're a beautiful man," saying this to this cop, "but I'm a boy." His heart was broken. He was going crazy, because it broke his heart, because it wasn't, it wasn't.
The next words. I normally don't do this, but
under these circumstances.
it's late, and I'm going to pretend like you didn't say that.
But and you know what? And I was like standing next to her, whatever. Smelled good, nice soft voice, elegant. No Adam's apple.
No else.
And when she told that to everybody, we were just like, huh? But unfortunately, my friend broke his heart. He was no good for 3 days.
Oh, good.
No good.
That's
You know?
crazy.
Anyway.
But-
All right, so I think we should probably wrap up, man. What do you think, Bill?
Yeah, I think we got it. Being that, thank you so much for coming on the
It's
show.
My pleasure.
You're always one of my favorite guys from the 3-2, and you did a lot of amazing work, not just out on the street, but for fellow detectives, fellow sergeants,
Thank you.
everybody on the police department. And people like you are the real angels of the job, really. I
Thank you very
sincerely mean
much.
that.
Thank you. And it was
You
a
know.
pleasure.
Saint, man. Con Ed messed up.
Yeah,
Long
thank you very
Island
much,
Saint.
Mark.
The job is lucky to have you. Thank you for
Yeah.
everything that you did and that you continue to do for the job.
Thank you very much. And I'm always here for you guys.
Well, something next time, once this COVID shit's over, I'll actually go to one of your cigar parties, I don't think I can go to
Sounds
Thailand or the DR. Jacoby and
No?
Myers would be knocking
about
on
the
my door. None of those.
How about the Philippines?
I can't do it. But listen, we also at this point we have to shout out to a lot of people. Mark and I recently, about a month ago, met a fellow detective. His name is Duty Ron, and he has his own channel. He does a real crime show, and he's helped us tremendously bring our show over to YouTube. In fact, in the last month on YouTube, we gained 1,000 subscribers, and we were hovering at 1,000 for like 2 years almost, right? A year and a half. So he's helping us. He's teaching me a lot about how to do this podcast. And I want to thank Duty Ron, and a lot of his fans have come over. He picked up, I think, 6,000 fans in the last 2 weeks from doing some of these real crime cases. So I want to thank his fans for coming over to the Police Off the Cuff family and to watching some of our shows. Mark does a show called One-on-One with Mark DeMeo or Ask a Cop with Mark DeMeo. I can't keep track of what his show is called now. And I do a show called Real Crime Stories, but it's all under the umbrella of Police Off the Cuff. We also have please, if you like our show, subscribe to us on YouTube. And we also have something called a Patreon, where people actually pay a monthly fee to watch us, which is incredible. And we have 3 tiers. The first tier is called The Bucket, and that costs $7. If you're a little bucket, you'll pay $7. The second tier is called Polish My Rack, and that costs $9. And
Jack
the $11 tier, the premier tier, is dipped in butter. So if you want yours, dipped in butter, pay $11 a month, and you can watch us 24/7.
So that's it. Thank you, Ervin Urbina Bean, for joining us tonight. You're always welcome. And anything you need from us, you let us know. If you want to have something that you want to share with us, or we need help with something, we can get the word out for you to our listeners as well. We're always here for you.
Thank you very much, Mark. It's a pleasure.
Bean. You're the man. You're the man, brother. Thank you so much. Good night, everyone.
Take care
Thank you. Thank you for watching.
Thank you.